And we are live. Welcome to Seller Sessions Daily. Today, we're going to be talking about failed products and taking the piss out of ourselves. Today, again, welcome back. The man with a beard. He's got a bigger beard than mine. I'd actually had a trim at the weekend. My wife cut my beard, so I look less like Robinson Crusoe. Norm Ferrer. Liran is growing a beard. It looks like you'll be starting to use beard oils and waxes and stuff soon. Tim has always had a beard. Are you wearing shorts today, though, Tim?
That's a secret for just backstage.
Is it? Because obviously you've become quite famous for the guy who wears a shirt and then it was like what's dressed down below, you know, for all the Helium 10 videos, and there's you in a pair of shoes.
Tim, are you not wearing anything? I mean,
Tim, can you stand up for us, please?
This is just tattooed. It looks like a shirt, but it's not.
Or please don't stand up.
Yeah, please don't stand up because I don't want to get arrested. Yeah, I don't want this to be cancelled. Excellent. All right, gentlemen, do you want to do a quick introduction and then we can get into our failed products?
Sure.
Sorry, starting with Norm.
All right, so I'll start.
We need some delegation here.
You know why? Because I'm being a man. I'm like trying to do multitasking, and I realised I didn't ask that question first, and then look to share to the groups. So.
Very good. My name's Norm Ferrer. I've been selling online since the mid-'90s. I've owned a few manufacturing facilities, especially packaging, fulfillment centers. And sort of a few years ago when Amazon came around, it all kind of came together and I jumped in the game. And now I have a company called PR Reach, which is a press release and content marketing company.
And Mr. Hirschkorn?
Liran Hirschkorn. I've been selling on Amazon since the end of 2014. Prior to that, I had an online insurance business and have built seven-figure private label brands since I started. I hear some background noise, but I built seven-figure brands since I started, and frequent guest of the Seller Sessions podcast. Also have an Amazon sponsored ads agency business, as well as selling on Amazon, and more to come soon.
Excellent. So just in the chat here, so Stuart, been waiting for this one. Selva here, hello from Singapore. Owen's back here again. Hi you all. Marchin's here. Good day, boys. Tim, location is changes today. I'm not sure what that actually means, but you can rewrite that again. Oh, I think he's talking about your background. Maybe that's changed slightly. Just starting out, so good and interesting to hear. Andrew says, good evening, good day, good morning. I've got that copyright, so please pay a royalty check, Andrew. Good morning, guys, from Florent over in Australia. Henrietta, hello, gentlemen. And, of course, Herb's here. Who else we got in the feed? We've got Raphael has joined us. Raphael, we'll get you on soon. Evelyn, hope you're well, brother. Oxy, good to see you. I owe you a phone call. Joe Wrightsfeld's here. He'll be here on Thursday. Good to see some heads in there. So, who's giving up first? Who's going to go first for the failed product?
I'll share.
Go on.
So, it's probably at least 2 years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, Andy, Nate, and I were going to launch a brand, and we were going to go into the like pool float space, competitive area, but obviously huge seasonal opportunity for summer season, like basically May until August. These things like sell like crazy. I actually looked at other products in the space, and they have these. They're probably still very popular. These swan type pool floats where you kind of ride the swan and sit in. They got very famous on social media too. And we made some differentiation to the product. So a lot of them have a cup holder. We changed it to add a cup holder, one on each side. And then we also included the electric kind of like blow up air machine to blow them up, because blowing this thing up manually, when I got the sample, it was like 3 hours to blow this thing up with my mouth and without a pump. So we added the electronic piece, which is only like a few bucks, and it's a higher selling product. I don't know at the time, but like maybe $70-$80 or something for these pool floats, $60-$70 for these pool floats. So we got them made. We did an inspection. The inspection passed. We launched a product. We hired this Vegas photographer who, you know, a lot of pools there and hired models there and had this like great photo shoot, great models on the product. We hacked the variations because we first put into the outdoor patio and lawn, which I think didn't allow variations. And so we kind of, I think, added variations under the sports category too, to have like different color variations on it because the category didn't allow it. And we launched it and started selling really well out of the gate, like really well. And then the reviews started coming in. And the reviews were these very, very sad images of dead swans. Okay. You would see next to somebody's boat, this like deflated with his head lying on the side swan that essentially was like dead. And the comments were basically like, blew this thing up, great. After a day, it popped. And then these just 1-star reviews just started coming in after another. 1-star reviews coming in after another. Then Andy sends me a picture. He had one, blew it up the next day. So the lesson one, so it was a failed product. We even actually, like, it was going so well initially that we had put in another 30% deposit with the supplier to get another order because it was starting to do so well, and we would have to really order right away to still get in stock for the season. So we even put in another 30% deposit. A few things that happened here along the way. One, our inspection that was done was not done the right way. So meaning we had an inspection done. Somebody came in, they saw that these, you know, they blow up and they hold air. The problem is when you're doing certain products, you should know a little bit more about the process, because really what the inspection should have been was blow up the product, leave it for like 48 hours, come back and see that it was still intact, right? Didn't know that based on not having that experience before. And that obviously wasn't done, and that's what should have been done. So we went to Alibaba for trade assurance, dispute that got denied. One of which we didn't use one of their, I think approved like inspection companies, and it had already shipped. So I think like once it ships, you're kind of basically screwed. So we got denied for that, and we gave up the 30% deposit that we made on the new product. That, kind of just gave that up. It was cheaper to lose it than to end up making the product. So the lesson is inspections are super important, and understanding your product as to how it relates with the right inspection, and really testing. Like if you get a sample, like I blew up the product, sat on it, it was fine, nothing happened. But quality is really important, especially with products like that. The niche in general has probably like 3.5 star average because of issues with, I think, any type of inflatable product. But we really got hammered, with bad reviews, and we knew the product wouldn't be viable.
Did I miss the point of there was dead swans?
Dead swans, because the pictures in people's reviews were these swans that were like with all the air.
Oh, see, I thought you actually meant you fucking killed some swans. It popped.
I mean,
you took them out of the game.
But no, what I'm saying is that you had these swans that looked like they were dead. These blow up.
Makes sense, because I'm sitting there waiting for the punch. Yeah, I'm waiting for the punchline, thinking, all right, he's going to tell us how he fucking killed these swans and how he dealt with that part as well.
It doesn't get as good as you'd like it to be. There are no dead animals involved.
You know what? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if it's a good story, like the movies, if it's a good story, you can embellish it a little bit, can't you? Yeah.
Sure. We killed swans along the way, of course. But the point is that there were a lot of lessons learned, and again, this is part of the process. When you sign up to sell products, you're gonna go through some stuff that will teach you lessons along the way. And sometimes, no matter how much people, like, you might hear this and still make bad decisions, until you learn yourself the hard way, you're just not going to learn as much about how important that is.
Cool. Anyone got any questions for Liran on this to pick up on his point? You kind of said here comes Peter Denner. Yeah, PETA. Yeah, we don't want them on my back, obviously. Yeah, we're I love pets. I've got a dog. So okay. I've lost my train of thought. What the fuck was I going to say now?
Questions on the story.
Yes. So obviously you covered sourcing and it blew up and stuff like that. What other things do you think, like nuances, you could have done there to mitigate some of these problems?
I really think it was vetting the product quality. Obviously, we went with a supplier that cut corners. I think, look, if at the time, I don't think I was writing up any like things on a PO with a supplier. Maybe if I would have had better documentation, maybe I could have won a dispute. Won a dispute with the supplier, or documented things along the way better. Like, if I knew about these things, then I would have protected myself better against it. Just with a PO, maybe I placed a second order too quickly, right? Maybe like one lesson I've definitely learned along the way is really not to place a reorder until the first like 5 to 10 reviews come in, right? Because the first 5 to 10 reviews will reveal a lot that you may have not known about the product. Okay. Recently had a product that launched and it comes with some parts, and like one of the comments is like came with 2 left brackets instead of a left and a right, right? You would not know that even if you did an inspection and they check like 10%, right, of the orders. But you start to get things that like reveal themselves, and then you can go back to the supplier like, hey, these are some issues that are happening before you place that second order. Even if the sales are fast coming, like you really, I would highly recommend you wait, because the market will tell you very quickly what's wrong. And if you get that kind of sales velocity, you should get some initial reviews coming in.
Definitely. So Owen here, sorry,
and maybe along with that, send the product out to 5 people that and say, hey, test the product out for me. What do you think? Right. And you're going to get like friends or sellers that will just give you, raw advice. They're not going to sugarcoat it. Right. Like, tell me everything wrong with this product. So there's definitely lessons in terms of inspections, contracts with suppliers, and reorder. We lost another 30%. If we would have waited another 2-3 weeks, maybe we wouldn't have lost that 30%. But again, it was more driven by fear of losing out on FOMO, right? Of losing out on the summer peak sales. Because this was like we launched it probably like May, and we knew if we don't place another order now, this ship by boat, we're going to miss. This has to be in for like June. Otherwise, we're going to miss out the season. So we were either placing the order or we're not. And we took the risk and did, without really understanding the quality or waiting for the reviews to come in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Owen Burrows, regular listener of the show, says, well, Liran, we actually took a look at these 2 years ago, but decided against it.
I mean, I think it's a good niche. And, I think it can be a good niche. And there are people that come out with unique designs and sizes. Like there's a lot of creativity that you can come up with these products where you can differentiate. The downside with any product like this, and I've seen this in the party space too, where people have like balloons and products like that, is the quality. The quality risk is like the biggest risk in any inflatable toy or float or any product. That one thing we did make sure along the same lines is that we did have all the warnings correct, right? Because this is a product people use in their pool, and you want to have all the proper warnings that like it's not a life-saving device. And we really researched that and looked at competitors and what they had, and we did our work there. But I think haven't looked at the niche recently, but I still think it can be a good niche. There's massive demand for it, but you got to have the right quality. And I think today you need to differentiate a little bit.
And maybe not so they look like dead swans as well, because when the reviews come in, they maybe can't go for a different look of some kind.
Like if I did skulls,
could have done skulls. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Side B. How did the refunds and returns affect the account health, and how long did it take to repair?
No issues there. I mean, when people returned, they returned to FBA and Amazon refunded them. The listing may have gone, taken down a couple of times, but it was one of those things where you just like, Amazon gives you the chance to relist right away. Just like you have to make a comment on like what you did to fix it, and it's like an automatic thing. So that may have happened a couple of times, but no issue with the account health. I mean, you can launch a product with shitty quality. You're not going to get your account suspended. You'll just get bad reviews, and Amazon may shut down that listing. But I don't think you're risking your account health as long as, it wasn't FBM. If it would have been FBM, we would have had maybe to refund people or have like, A to Z claims, stuff like that. But it was all FBA, and bad quality account is not going to get you suspended. A bad quality product.
Yeah. Cool. Let's say a few more hellos and then we're going to move around to Timothy. So Paulina is here, Channing as well. We'll see you later, Channing. Alexandra's here. Pat Taylor's back, Dustin. Nick, thanks for the mask. They arrived the other day. Owen, thank you. Oleg's here. Clint is here. Sharon Evan is here. Doug Brown is here. Andy Shields is just saying around one of his products here. He has said, I'll paraphrase, hello, gents. My addition to this debate is a set of car chargers or phones as such. I've got a warehouse full of them in Bognor Regis, basically. He's saying, choose your product carefully, get QA in China, and stay away from super saturated competitive niches. So some good feedback there. Sorry, no one come in. Can I ask a shipping question? Do you guys typically pay for your freight forward up front or upon clearance of customs in the US, etc.? We're just negotiating 30% before pickup in China, then 70% upon arrival in the US port. How does that strike you guys?
I've generally paid. I mean, I've used Flexport many times. I'm actually testing a couple of new freight forwarders to try to see if I can get cheaper pricing. Yeah. But with Flexport, it's always been after clearance is when they they charge you.
Yeah. After it lands, then you get a call. I get it as well when I've had it in the UK where like the shipping people, you don't hear from them forever because it's old school. They're on the phones. That's what I hate about logistics and stuff. If you want to get something done, you have to get on the blower and speak to them. But as soon as it comes to getting the bill, they'll phone you 7 to 8 times a day. And you're like, what the fuck? Basically, I can't get hold of you. But when it comes to you getting paid, you're on me to get this cleared. Right. Who's up next? Norm or Timothy? What are we doing? Who's going first?
Go for it, Tim.
Go on, Tim.
Okay. Is that like a youth before beauty thing?
Sure. Short beard versus long beard. Yeah.
So, shut up, Lorana. All right. So I'm going to share. I've got a couple products to share. One of them got me suspended, like legit suspended. Huh. And this was in my early days before I knew what hijacking was. Right. So what I did was, can I share my screen? I can share my screen. Basically, what I did is I started poking around Amazon like, every good private label seller does and find what's selling really well. And I found this bad boy right here.
Oh, okay. Let me just pop this. I need to pop it up onto the screen. There you go. Yeah.
I found this bad boy. And what this is one of those emergency hammers where you can break out the car window. Like if you get in a wreck and the door's jammed or you get in water and you break that tempered glass because it's impossible without one of these tools. Yeah. So I found this thing and I'm like, dang, $15. Like I can surely get this thing super, super cheap. So I had my partner in China find this and we find the exact factory, like it's an exact match. He sends me a sample and I buy one of these and it's just a dead match. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. I ordered like 500 of them, airshipped them over, sent them in on this listing for $14.90, 5 cents cheaper, and sold them all out in like 2 days. I was like, man, this Amazon thing is easy. I'm going to get rich. Like, this is too much fun. But what I didn't realize was that this little sticker right here that says GS, the brand sticker, matters. And I had no idea what hijacking was. I thought it's the exact same product. The sticker doesn't matter. So I had sold like those 500 units and ordered like another 5,000. So I placed the deposit for those 5,000. They're on order. Everything's going great. And then my account gets suspended. Wake up one morning with that suspension. I'm like, what on earth? So I go through and start checking and turned out one of these people had bought one of my products, found out it was a counterfeit essentially. So even though it was the exact same product, because I didn't have that brand sticker on it, it wasn't the exact same product. So I got suspended and I ended up with like 5,000 of these stupid things stuck in a warehouse. And it's actually an extremely saturated product. There's 800 listings of the same thing. This was like the first guy that started selling them. So he had them for $15. I was trying to sell them like a 2-pack for $4 and still couldn't get any traction. So that was one. The other one was, another one, there's multiple, was this meat tenderizer. All right. So I'm looking in kitchen accessories and I see this thing pop up. Have you guys any of you guys ever seen one of these?
Yeah.
It's a mechanical meat tenderizer. And I thought, well, this is awesome. So I started checking around on Alibaba and I came up with this version. All right. So this version is round, but it's still mechanical. It's got a cover and it locks. It has a lock. So this thing depresses and you've got 54 blades. So the objective is you put this on your meat and you push it down and it perforates and tenderizes.
That looks fucking dangerous, mate.
Yeah. Well, the idea is you lock it. So I twist this.
Yeah.
And now it's not, it's not pushing down. It's locked. So I started selling these things and I got a little bit of traction. It became super saturated really fast. Like every Tom, Dick, and Harry was selling these things, I was nearly giving these things away. Well, in my QC process, I was not getting it tested very well. And I had I had multiple, but I had one for sure that the locking mechanism broke. And there was a guy that was trying to play a prank on one of his family members, and they were videoing it. So it's all on video. So what he did is he basically comes out and is chopping the meat, and he's got it unlocked and he's chomping the meat, showing that. And then he reaches over and just hits his mom in the shoulder with it. But he had turned the lock. So he was trying to just psych her out, thinking she was going to stab. The lock mechanism didn't work, and he literally stabbed her with 54 stainless steel blades right in her shoulder, standing in the kitchen. And the guy who did it, his brother, was filming it on a cell phone, like thinking they were going to freak the mom out, not her not knowing that it had a locking mechanism. So that was no bueno. So
did that go viral in any way? Did that end up online?
It did end up online. He posted it on Facebook. He wrote a bad review. In the review, he said, go to my Facebook page and watch this. So, like, he didn't have a link because you couldn't do that in a review, but people actually went and were looking at this. So obviously the next day I see that 1-star review, I pull it up. I have to beg this guy to take it off. I'm really, really lucky he didn't sue me. My liability insurance that I had probably would have rejected my claim because it was, completely on video, and I didn't do my QC that I was supposed to, because my liability insurance requires me to have these QC checks, and it wasn't done. So, one of my products definitely stabbed somebody, which you definitely don't want that kind of PR with one of your products.
So, moral of the story, obviously, get QC done. So, how did you manage with something so dangerous to skip a one-man day, $300 to get a QC done?
Wait, say that again?
What's it going to cost you? Maximum $350 to get QC done, like a single day inspection. But what possessed you to skip that? Was it because you were new to the game back then? Or
no, I got the inspection, but it wasn't a good inspection. I guess it was kind of like Laurent's. Like I should have known. Like I sent the $250 inspection company in. They checked 10 or 20% of the products. They made sure the UPC code's scanned and everything. But what I now understand, especially with like a dangerous item that has a mechanical device in it that claims to be the protection device, you better get every single one of those suckers tested, right? So I'm sure I had my 20% inspection done. This is one of the ones that they didn't inspect, just bad luck. And it was real bad luck that someone was trying to pull a prank on their mom and had it on video. It was like the perfect storm. Yeah,
makes sense. We can talk about more on next week's show. Yeah, I've got loads in the can. Levan, have you got any for next week so we can do a part 2?
Any
failures? I know you're like Elon Musk and you probably only got one in your can, but if you've got any more, we've got anything you can do next week?
Failed stories?
Yeah.
I'm sure I can think of some.
Cool. All right, so we'll do a part 2 for next week. But before we get to you, Norm, okay to answer some of the questions here. So liability insurance, any idea where we can get it for international sellers? Selva is over in Singapore. Who would you recommend? Is it Ashlyn? For US, I think she does a lot of stuff. Is it Ashlyn someone? Guys, do you know Ashlyn?
Ashlyn, yes. The question is...
liability insurance, any ideas how we can get it for international sellers?
Good question. I don't know.
She only does. What is her surname? Ashlyn. Forgot her surname. Hayden. Look up Ashlyn Hayden and then ask her directly. She may only do domestically, but she might be able to put you in the right direction. We've also.
I've worked and talked with Michelle before. I don't know if she does international, but that's another person.
Okay. May I ask, how would you find and verify an agent for QC? Any specific things to ask, check for? I'm just trying to think. We've had Andy Church on the show. He's very good. What I liked about him was he's based in the US, but he has a Chinese team. And I like that blend of both, because for me, I found before I've had inspection company work with the factory. An inspection company I used 15 to 20 times, then I stopped using them, is because between them, instead of doing a flash inspection to complete on that day, i.e. aborted inspection to feed back to me, they arranged it between themselves. Oh, I'll come in later. And I'm like, no, that's not the conversations you have. You have the conversations with me, not the factory. You don't make deals with the factory directly when you show. So as soon as that happened, I moved to Andy Church. He was previously on the show, Quality Inspection. So he's based in the US, and instead he's got a Chinese team. So you can catch him on US time, and he communicates with the team there, and he does flash inspections as well, which basically, if you need to report, you haven't got to wait 28 to 48 hours for the report to come back when you know it's going to fail anyway. That's often because if someone's got to travel, depending on where the factory is, they might need to take a train for 6 or 7 hours, and then they don't get that data back to you to a later date. So flash inspections are definitely the way forward. Speak to him. Anyone else make a suggestion?
I mean, I've used Topwin before. They're pretty good.
Yep.
The one concern when it comes to inspections in China is bribes. Okay.
Yes.
Is when your factory pays off the guy coming to write up a better inspection. So you know, there are a lot of good companies, but you also want to go with a reputable company that is not going to do that, because bribes are kind of you know, part of the culture of not being such a bad thing in China. Very much part of the culture. Tim would probably know more on this.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of bribe stuff that goes on. But they don't always think of it as malicious. They think of it as just part of business. Right. So, like, you know, the worst thing you could do is post in one of these big Facebook groups as like, hey, anybody have a recommendation for an inspection company?
No. Rephrase that. They always go, have you got anyone trustworthy? Why would you ever say that in the Facebook group?
You get like 700,
and then you get like 100 replies. Yeah.
And all of them are like, we do inspection for $100, dear. They got thrown the deer there. But listen, if you're doing $100 inspection, they're going to take money from the factory. That's part of it. So they don't see that as a bribe, and they don't see that as anything malicious. They're like, oh, I'm giving Tim a deal for doing this inspection for 100, but I'm not making money for 100, so I have to take some money from the factory too. Yeah. The company that I've been impressed with lately is Movley, Movley. These guys are US based. They have staff and team in China, and they're really, really transparent. They do a lot of custom stuff. So check out Movley. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I've been really impressed with them lately. So check them out.
And do they do sourcing too?
So their bread and butter is inspections. They do a little bit of sourcing and a little bit of stuff just because, like, once you're kind of in the loop and you know some suppliers, you can get that stuff going too. And they're actually trying to build a tech platform that does a lot of really cool stuff. But their bread and butter, like how they initially got started and what they do every day, is inspections.
Got it. And I see they actually, I'm looking at their site. Looks like it says between $100 and $400 for China. So
yep,
seems like nothing crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, inspections are not expensive when you consider how much you put in terms of the down payment for your order. Like $200 to $300 is a drop in the water. Consider that even when you've inspected, you've seen, like, when you've bought a product to quality, because you've only got 10 to 12% of the product have been inspected, and then you get these returns and you're left with all these products. Sometimes it takes 4 months or so to sort out. So
it's
when you get that stage,
you can't afford not to get a good inspection.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they're so cheap in comparison on the macro of all your costs, you know?
And I tell everybody, make sure to get the inspection prior to making the final payment, because then you have leverage, right? Like if you have that inspection, you have a high fail rate, you've got it's called knocking up the supplier. Like, they've got your product with your branding on it. Like, you've now got all the leverage, and you can force them to fix that stuff before you make the final payment. If you do the inspection after, you can argue with them, but they might say, no, it is what it is. Take it or leave it. You already paid us. So make sure to do the inspection prior to the final payment.
And you know, to me, there are a couple of things that you can add in when you place your order. One, if the inspection fails, the supplier needs to obviously fix it, and they need to pay for the second inspection.
Yes.
The biggest problem or challenge to that is when it comes to inspections, a lot of times you'll get pending, right? As far as like it's not a pass, it's not a fail, it's pending, because there's some things they don't know about, or they don't know exactly how to score, how you feel about it, or what the deviation needs to be. So the more details you can give to the inspection team ahead of time, like, I know with my inspections, I'll send them pictures. I'll send them, here's what to look out for from a previous order here. Like, the more specific you could be on exactly what they should be looking for and finding, the better your inspection results will look like. And the more likely you are not to get like a pending, because you really want to pass or fail. Sometimes there will be pending and you can see the things, and if they're very minor things, I've had stuff pending, and I've had apparel and there's sometimes little threads, right? Mm-hmm. And pending, but they go to supplier and just say, hey, just cut those hanging threads or things like that you can understand. But it's better if you have an actual pass fail, because you can use that, like Tim said, as leverage if it does fail, to get them to fix and pay for the inspection behind it.
Yeah, like Liren says, nothing's too small. I use Canva for this, and some of my inspection sheets that I do, like a dumbed down version, is just literally images. So your product is not tilting this way on a pallet, but it's too much on there. You're literally saying, not like this, like this. And when you wrap it, like this. And when you're doing the label and the cartons and everything and the stamps, like this, but not like this. So it's absolutely clear. And get them to sign each page as they go down. So they've agreed to what the final product looks like from the images. And if they don't match, you can then pull up this document that you've created where they've signed and agreed to that.
The other thing that you can do too, just to safeguard yourself, is if there are problems when they do come over, let's say that the other 80%, there's problems and you're starting to get defects and returns. Well, you put it on your Performa that who's responsible for that. So you get a credit back on your next order.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's Norm brings up a great point, because the Chinese are not going to be as likely to give you any.
Who's that, Norm?
Yeah,
Liran, sorry. Norm, who is it? Let's have a little chat. Do you want to bring them on live?
Pick it up.
So I owe somebody money.
No, sorry, Liran. Back to you.
What I'm saying is that the Chinese are very unlikely to give you money or give you a discount or pay for the inspection. But what you can use as leverage, again, if you're going to use them again, is, okay, I want a credit on my next order, right? They're making margin there, and they're more likely to give you that than, or I want to, or even after the fact, where, I've seen people, I haven't had this, but I've seen people where, like, every return I get for a defect, you're going to give me another, on my next order, you're going to give me that as an additional product. So if I order 1,000, I get 50 defects on this order, then you're going to give me an additional 50 units on the next order. You have more leverage to use that, because they're more likely to accept that, because their costs are so much lower than what you're paying for them to make the product.
Indeed. I won't mention this week, but next week's failed product, which I'll go into, was out the same factory, and the factory screwed up, and they took, they could, well, what's the word for it? I went back through previous emails and proved that they were wrong, and they informed me with the wrong information. So I didn't get money back, but I offset it off a current order and said, I'm not paying any more or using your factory no more until this is resolved. Yep. So you're not going to get your final 70%. And so what they done was they wiped their mouth with that order and accepted the liability of it. And that was the only way. I would never got cash back.
And that's the thing with my dispute when I had this with these pool floats, the supplier was very willing to, like, we'll replace the ones that are bad, but like we got, we had such bad quality, like we didn't want to use the supplier anymore. Right. At that point is when you where it's better to just lose money. If they made such horrible quality and they're not willing to give you money back or whatever to work with you for a better longer term relationship, just giving you credit. Well, I don't want that credit. I still have to pay money to import and whatever. And I don't know what problems. There's a there's a word people use in China or about making products in China called quality fade. And it really comes down to, suppliers will, some, not all, but suppliers will try to sometimes cut corners over time if you are not on top of them to check the quality of your product. So the one of the things you should have on your contract is that the quality of the product they make should be the same quality as the sample you got, assuming you're happy with that sample. The quality needs to be to that same standards. And that, again, that's something that you can have in some leverage, and also that the inspection quality be equal to the sample quality you received. And be met to that same standard. But you really need to do inspections on every order, because again, suppliers, and it depends on your product. There are some products, there's some products that are not as vulnerable, to bad quality. There are some products that are more. So I wouldn't say across the board you need to be as strict, but certainly with products that are more prone to quality issues, you need to be on top of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jason Chu said, we sold iPhone 3 cases and bumpers that were an epic fail and didn't realize how competitive it was and how short the product life cycle was. How long are your product life cycles before you cut losses?
How long is the life cycle of the product before you eliminate it?
Yeah. So what I suppose he's saying here is how, some have longer and shorter life cycles on average on your products. What is the average life cycle? 18 months, 2 years, 3 years?
I've had products that have sold successfully since 2016 and still do. I think, and I know many sellers that have had products that are long-term, especially if you become, you generating a lot of reviews, generating good reviews, right? You have an advantage over new people coming in. So
yeah,
obviously if you're dealing with, iPhone cases, you're going to have a timeline. Or if you're dealing with like a trending fad type product, if it's a fidget spinner, it's going to have, or hoverboard or something like that that's trending, it's going to have a short lifespan. But I believe that, if you're selling a, vitamin C serum, you can sell it today and for the next 30 years, in theory, as you accumulate more reviews and build up a customer base, and especially with consumables that people are buying over and over again. So I don't believe in this thing that like a product has to have a life cycle where it dies.
Well, the other thing too, when you're looking at product life cycle, is when you're placing your next order, sometimes it dies because it's just a bad product that can be improved. So if you're looking at your reviews and you're seeing something negative, then try to improve it. Look at your competitors too and see if they're doing anything a bit different. And that can help with life cycle.
Yeah.
The other thing I would add is that also understand when it's the right time to kill a bad product. Okay. My experience has been if a product is an uphill battle to start, cut your losses. Meaning I used to think in terms of, 6 months, 7 months, give a product a chance, Now really my mindset is more like 3 months. If a product, if you're struggling in the beginning, even if you don't have reviews and stuff, but if you can't sell with beat the market by 20% on price, right? And have a great listing. And if you're not getting if you're selling 1 unit a day, just cut your losses because you chose the wrong product ultimately, or you went into a too competitive of a niche or whatever. I really think that my best products ever have all started selling well initially without crazy launches or giveaways. And sometimes I've done that to make an additional push to move something from the bottom of page 1 to further up. But my best products have always just performed pretty well from the beginning. And the products that you think I need to make a ranking push or this will just sell, I've left products just to sell out in Q4 and then not replenish them. But don't go, if a product is an uphill battle, cut your loss because when you launch 5 products, 2 or 3 should probably just start selling well from the beginning. And those are the ones you want to double down on.
Yeah. Norm,
you guys bring the same thing? Norm?
Sorry, you can go for a second.
No, I'm saying, have you had the same experience as far as good products that you launched that they just did either well from the beginning or they didn't, and if they didn't, it's not worth to fight the uphill battle?
Oh yeah, there's just too many other opportunities. If it's not giving you the return after your initial launch or when you put money into it, then unless you can find a different angle and try that out, you can test the waters. But if it's not going to work, why throw good money at it?
Yeah. And one thing I've started doing is getting another set of eyeballs on those things. If I launch a product now, I did it with a pretty high degree of certainty that it should be good. So if it's not good, I want to know why. So I'll usually get a good friend or someone in my group to take a look at it. And either I'm missing something obvious, like I'm not doing my job right in launching it, or I missed some glaring mistake in the validation process that I'll learn from, right? But yeah, I think, Laurent, you're right. After 3 months, if it's not going and there's not a really easy way to fix it, just pull the plug because it's better to spend that time, energy, effort, and money on something else than
Yeah.
trying to beat a dead horse.
I love this saying. Have you heard this in the US? No
Yeah.
sense putting a lipstick on a pig.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to add something.
Apologies. Go on.
I was going to add something to that, but there are too many other good opportunities, and cut your losses early. And what I was going to say is that somebody recently approached me and they showed me their product, which was in Europe, which was a kind of like a diaper bag on the go for like strollers. Okay, like attaches to your stroller. And like, why is it not selling? They've like don't fall in love. Like, my quality is better. I'm like, yeah, dude, but first of all, everybody thinks their quality is better. Like, look at the reviews. If your competitors have 4 and 4.5 stars, like, the market doesn't give a shit that your quality is better. Every seller thinks their quality is better. Like, there's a line of truth and not truth to that. Number one. Number two, you have 14 reviews. You don't have the social proof that your quality is better, right? Like, that's a reason why reason why your product is selling. Like, the answer is you went into a very saturated market thinking my quality is better, but you need to be able to lose money for a year to get 500 reviews, maybe, for people to really overwhelmingly know your quality is better. But I think falling in love and making the same product everybody else is and saying my quality is better when everybody else is making the product in China too is like a false sense of what's real.
Yeah, indeed. I'll come back to questions, guys. We'll answer some of those questions and feedback, what's in the feed there in a moment. But I want to get around to Norm, conscious of time. Let's talk about one of your failed products, Norm.
Okay, so I've got a few failed products.
That's
But
right.
the one that's hilarious is I got into. I thought I was going to do this really great product. It was a wood, really high quality wood clock. And I got the wood done locally, so it wasn't imported. I imported these German movements from a company called Henschel. Everything came in. They were it was almost like a mini grandfather clock. Anyway, product comes in, and some customs agent denied the order. Now, I did bring in some samples. Everything was cool. They got stopped and seized at the border. I had to go down to the customs warehouse, which was in the middle of the summer, extremely hot. And they told me I had to put a made in Germany sticker on all the moving parts. So each hammer, the attachment to the hammers, I had 500 units I brought in, which meant that there was there were 3 weights, but each weight was divided into 2. So it ended up being 3,000 units that I had to take tape because the stickers wouldn't stick to lead. The pieces that the weights that the lead went into the gold or brass pieces, which had a top, a screw, the cylinder, a bottom, and a screw. Each one of them, they made me put "Made in Germany" on it. So at the end of the day, you had 100 different stickers that were for this one clock that you were supposed to sell, and I couldn't take the stickers off. So, they made for going around flea markets basically and selling them. I couldn't even get them on.
Okay.
So that is a failed product. And again, it was just interpretation, but I had no leg to stand on because every piece was made in Germany that had to come over. Yeah. So that's a learning lesson. But
Cool. That was a shorter one than expected. But
yeah, I got another one I can throw in there.
I was going to say, throw in another one, and then I'll do one of mine as well.
Okay. So we decided that we were going to, this is a client of mine, but I was taking care of everything for him. We were going to do ABC puzzles, fridge magnets. So got the spec samples, got this box. Everything looked really fantastic until the one review came out. My kid ate a magnet.
So, Tim, don't be laughing. You're not insured, mate.
Dude, that sounds exactly like the text that my wife would send me at any given day. The kid pooped on the floor. The kid ate a magnet. The kid jumped off the roof. Like, that's my life right now.
So we had to do a removal order. So we wanted to get
from
this going.
Kid or from Amazon?
From Amazon. So, so from Amazon, we got them out. But we also had, I'll tell you the unit number because I don't know how many puzzles were being done in China. So we contacted the manufacturer and said you had to glue in the pieces. They said impossible. So they sent the pieces. We had to find a location to get the 68 pieces, place the glue in, put the magnet in, rebag all the 68 pieces so all the unit, like the pieces were together, put them back in the box, tape them up, and then send them out. I got a quote for $155,000 in US to do it, and I actually was able to find a kitting and assembly company in China that would help us put this together. It took 2 weeks and I think 20 people to do the process. So the total was $5,500. This was an epic fail. We did this, but we weren't going to go through it again. It cost us more for the labor and everything else. So the product was just discontinued in the end because we couldn't find somebody to glue rather than pressure, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. My one was in the gourmet dog food category. I think they were 12 kilogram bags, I think, like the big ones, right? So these were about 40 notes, so quite expensive, high end, good quality, no grains, that kind of stuff. So went right in terms of the food was made up by a professional chef and all that kind of stuff. This was based in Europe. But prior to that, getting to the dog food, I actually tried to private label it in the UK. Back then in the UK, it's not like China. It's a nightmare trying to deal with anyone and get them interested in this kind of stuff. So there's a company out there that I managed to do a deal with. They were a bit like up front with a bit like Daisy called constantly chasing them, all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking, right, okay, so it's like you're dealing with people in the UK. It's not like China where everyone's ready to do business. So lo and behold, I managed to work with them over 3 weeks, negotiated price, put everything together, all the packaging, everything, went to pay my deposit. And they said, sorry, we can't sell to you. I went, what do you mean? He said, because you're selling on Amazon. But I said, since day one, I've told you that I plan to sell on Amazon. Yeah, no, but we need to protect the stores here in the UK. Like, you need to sell these on basically your own website. We're not supporting big companies like Amazon. So, sorry, you can't put this order through. So I said, well, you just dicked me around for weeks on end. We get to the final day. What we're going to do about it? And I said to her, do you realise that all the people that you're working with that don't sell on Amazon do sell on Amazon? Because I went and done another call with her. And then I showed her on Amazon, I reversed engineered all these sellers. And what they've been saying is they've been sending it in to sell on their Shopify site, but actually selling on Amazon because they were smart and thought about it before I did. So obviously the horse is bolted there. So I couldn't sell this product there. So I end up going on to Alibaba, but doing searches in the EU. And I found a company in Holland. So I actually, rather than private labeling, I took their product to do it. But because of the shipping costs and just obviously testing, I've done all the numbers, seemed to work out. Cost per click was about £1.20. Made sense. We'll retail $39.99, high quality, good gourmet food, right? But one of the problems we came into is that I didn't want to go through that thing of, put in these big bags and putting another bag over the top and label them because it become cost prohibitive. So what we decided to do, and I'm doing this from memory now, but basically what happened, we kind of done a workaround. Someone told me there's a little trick that you should do is so what you do is you're using pallet labels. So effectively you shrink wrap the pallet, right? But then you only put one label on it. Instead of putting it in the bags and labels, you just use a pallet label. They'll scan them in and then they will count the bags in, right, into Amazon. So lo and behold, I've done that. And the people told me, said, Dan, don't worry about it. It's all right. I said, have you ever had any problems? No, never had problems. So Amazon lost them pallets for like 2 months. So it took me 2 months to try and buy that. When they finally found them, I had to bring them back out. Then I had to send them back in, like reseal them manually with bags, with the labels, do it all properly, send it all back in. What I hadn't accounted for is that it was like £8 cost per click. So straight away it was, without obviously doing giveaways, who's going to want to do giveaways with like these huge 12 kilogram bags of dog food? So basically that was one of my failed products. So the lessons learned from that is that all I had to do is switch to merchant fulfilled and then run some PPC data to get the true cost in terms of cost per click. Because I was never going to use those as a giveaway. But yeah, lots of lessons learned from there. So I don't think we sold any of them. And obviously before the expiry date, I had a bit of an open house where people could come around and collect bags of dog food. I think some of them have still got, there's so much of it, there's still got some of that dog food today, and that's going back to 2016. Jeez. So that's one of my failed stories. Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
What is?
And, if you haven't had a product fail, you have not launched enough products.
That's
true.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Let me go back. I think if there's some more questions here. Tony says, are you guys seeing more and more offshore factories selling more FBA after being wooed from Amazon?
Question is what?
Yeah, what is it really? Are you guys seeing more and more offshore factories selling more FBA after being wooed from Amazon?
Are you seeing, meaning he's asking, are you seeing more factory direct from
Probably.
China selling on Amazon? I mean, I haven't seen anything that's telling me it's happening more now.
Yeah, I'm the same. Just Amazon's. I mean, if they're trying to get into Amazon, I can't see a lot of the factories trying to sell direct. And also, one of the main reasons would just be culture, trying to get the websites up and trying to make them look good so they can compete over here. You know, that could change, but
right.
Yeah. Ben says pushing too hard on price. Going back to earlier with the quality and stuff, pushing hard on price, which threats of factory switch will inevitably result in improved pricing but cuts in quality. Be careful what you wish for. Then we covered iPhone cases. Joe here, Wrightsfeld, said in 2008, I had a client that sold iPhone cases, laptop cases, etc., and licensed Apple products. In Q4, we started selling Apple USB charger plugs, cost 55 cents each, selling for $15.95. Our high sales were over 500 in one day. He was adding a line of adult products, which we won't handle, so we stopped working altogether. A month later, Amazon suspended him for life because one of the plugs made a buyer's phone catch on fire. Upon closer inspection, Amazon noticed that, and he didn't finish the message here. Closer inspection, Amazon noticed that Apple was spelled Apple, but it says, Joe, you might need to rewrite that message at the end. New comments there. Here we go. Russell Smith, is there a way to get an account rep for Amazon to help with a customer support or some kind of threshold that you need to gain access? Well, there's the program, isn't there? There's the SAM programs, etc. Leran, you were doing that a few years ago.
To Amazon to help with customer support.
Yeah.
Well, the help is not it's not a seller support program, but they do have a seller support escalation where if you open a case and you're not getting anywhere, then you can escalate to that team. There is a program. It's called the SaaS Core program. It may or may not be on a waiting list right now. You have to check. I know it was a couple of months ago. At the same time, So I know Amazon's been looking to hire more reps. The program was better, and Amazon seems to do this kind of stuff. They launch something, they make it really attractive, they get a lot of demand, and then they pull back from the benefits. So originally this launched, and you could submit unlimited 7-day deals free through the program. Now, 7-day deals, $300. The program was $1,600 plus 0.3% of previous month's sales, up to $5,000. Not too bad. If you're submitting 4, 5, 7-day deals a month, that alone is, $1,500 to, $1,800. It can pay for itself, and you have a rep and these other programs. Then they pulled back and said you can only submit 2. Then they pulled back and said you can only submit 2, but only through Seller Central. Part of the advantage was even if a product wasn't eligible in Seller Central for a lightning deal or for a 7-day deal, you could manually submit through this team. That's gone too. So I would say today the program is not as attractive as it was 6 months ago. And I think the reason is Amazon just priced it too low and they got too high of a demand. They should have priced it a little bit higher and kept some of those benefits. But instead they just changed kind of the terms, I think, to slow down the demand.
Yeah. And obviously account managers disappear. And do you find that these programs are quite good if you're looking to spend money. So like you want to get more deals in place and stuff like that. If there's the incentives there to get you to spend, but if it benefits your business and you make sales from it and the margin's good.
They also give you, so just to add a couple of things, they also give you some certain reports on product opportunities that Amazon has data on that they feel like are good product opportunities. They give you beta access to different programs. But on the other hand, if you open up a new account, you also get a rep with Amazon, and you get a rep for the rest of that year. So if it's like December or January and you want to open an account, wait till January, unless you can get a product in right away. Wait till January, because then you'll get the rep, and the rep will be assigned for you for the rest of the year. So I have a new account, new brand, and I have a rep on that brand, and now I get to have that rep for the rest of the year because the account was opened after January. And had a call yesterday with the rep on Chime and video, and like they can be helpful, and they're more there on the marketing side, and that's free. But it has to be a new account because Amazon wants to support you to get selling and get revenue when you have a new account.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sean says, did anyone see the show last night on UK TV, The Truth About Amazon on Channel 4? They claimed that Amazon was deliberately using sales data to create their own Amazon brands. That's obvious, thereby pushing other FBA sellers off their top ranks. That's very old, yeah. So even though that's just made the news, they've been doing that for years, haven't they?
It seems like Amazon, though, they started to pull back a little bit from that when you had presidential candidates like Elizabeth Warren and people talking about like Amazon should be broken up, and Amazon is violating antitrust and stuff like this by favoring their own products. And then India banned that Amazon couldn't sell their own products on on the marketplace and stuff over there. So they pulled back a little bit from highlighting. They've had in the past on listings like from lower price from our brands, stuff like that, and they've kind of pulled away from that, I think, because of public criticism.
Well, another thing, a friend of mine, she was an 8-figure seller. She exited her business last year. She had a situation where Amazon went into her factory with her product and says, I want to manufacture this, but maybe $1, $2 cheaper. And the factory guy said, no, not interested, because he was loyal to her. So it's that blatant. They'll take your product off the shelf and then try and manufacture it in your factory and then try and push down the price. That's how ruthless they are.
I got one. We own a factory in China.
Yeah. And
we sell these products on Amazon. The only time that factory gets seen is when you put in the invoice at the beginning. We don't advertise that. You can't find it on Alibaba. We own it. We don't run it. We have somebody else. Guess who contacts the factory and asks to compete with our product, right?
Yeah.
It was direct.
And how did Amazon get your how did Amazon know your
product?
Only
one way.
What's
because
that?
They're not listed anywhere. So there's only one way, is when you put the invoice together, you're putting the factory name down where you're getting your product from, right?
But did you have to submit that invoice to Amazon at one point?
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
Got it.
Cyb says, are there any long-term benefits of selling to vendor instead of FBA? Mate, you might as well just set fire to your Amazon business. I don't know many people that come out alive.
Yeah.
Anyone disagree?
I mean, look, there's obviously many brands that sell to vendor, but I think there's also a shift away for the last year from vendors wanting more control. Yeah. At the same time, I think Amazon, there's been stories of Amazon forcing certain brands to sell to them and not allowing them to be on the marketplace. So I think it all depends. If you're a huge brand and kind of Amazon's just like another channel for you and you don't want to deal with it, then you could be vendor. I think for most small, under $20 million, $30 million businesses, 3P makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, definitely. Gents, maybe we should wrap it there. Does anyone want to add anything before we go?
No, but we'd love maybe people should comment on this wherever they see this on Facebook or YouTube with their own horror stories. It'd be maybe next week we can read some other people's horror stories on the show. Yeah,
send them in, Danny at sellersessions.com. Send your horror stories. Yeah, go on.
Share what your learning lesson is so we can laugh and kind of learn something.
Yeah, we can read that out on the show if you don't mind. Okay, so tomorrow coming up, what day is it today? It's Wednesday. I'm losing the days of the week. Is our part 2 with Shopify. Joe is joining us. Oh, he mentioned in the stream that you know what he's talking about earlier on with Joe. He's saying that what happened is Apple was spelled A-P-L-L-E and not spelled A-P-P-L-E. So the guy lost 1.5 million account over a 55 cents plug. Is what he was trying to get to earlier on.
Danny, you had a Shopify show, and I think Joe was supposed to be on it. Maybe I don't know if he did. I heard the first like half an hour.
Yeah,
and either didn't get or did get on at the end. But I know. You're. Are you hosting again? Like an
yeah, tomorrow. You've got someone who does 10 million on Shopify. Last week was a bit of a disaster because we were going live. And Joe couldn't get on for the first 30 minutes, and I contacted someone else to jump on with Myro, who was kind enough to be on there as well. So basically, what was going on while I'm asking questions, I'm on Facebook in the background trying to message people to get them on to the show. So yeah,
most people don't know, Danny. You don't know this, but last night I went to sleep with you.
Did you?
Listening to the podcast?
Thank you.
So you know, there are probably people out there all over the world going to sleep with seller sessions.
Yes, thank you. And you'll be back here on Sunday. We're gonna break down Naval, aren't we?
Yes,
we're gonna go through that. I love our Sundays, the Mindset podcast. Yeah. Anyone who's not tuned in on the weekend, definitely check them out. It's not really Amazon related stuff, but it's fun. Generally, it's fun nevertheless. I mean, we've done mental health last week, and that's quite serious, but this week it should be good. So coming up this week, let's pull it up here. Yeah, so Shopify tomorrow. Leran, if you can put me in touch with that guy, we'll get him on with Joe Roachville and Myro as well. Then Friday, it's going to be Steve Simonson. It's going to be awesomers.com versus Seller Sessions co-branded. And we're going to be talking about going from 0 to 50 million in terms of managing team. And then Saturday comes back. Part 6, Women of Amazon, and of course, Mindset Sunday, breaking down Naval with me and Leran. So, gentlemen, starting with Norm, how can people reach you?
They can reach me at norm@prreach.com. And by the way, Danny, that PR, the free PR distribution for anybody doing anything with COVID is still on. So if you've got an idea or if you see some incredible people that are doing things for their community, just contact me and we'll do a free press release for you.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Leran?
Send me a private message on Facebook or Instagram.
Excellent. And Timothy?
Yeah, same thing. Just find me on Facebook or Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey.
Is that a new dating site?
It's something. We'll talk about that off air.
He doesn't wear bottoms on Facebook.
Excellent. Oxy says, Danny and Leran date on Sunday. Love Eyes.
Correct.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you, Oxy. Hope you're well. Actually, there's the last question. Yes, Henrietta, before we go, she asked about FBM. We're talking about delays. What are you guys doing at the moment in terms of FBM? Are you moving forward in terms of just waiting for because a lot of the timelines have cleared up?
Hey, while you guys are mentioning that, I got to run to another meeting, but it's good to see you guys, and we'll chat later.
You too.
Cool. Go and put some trousers on. Cool. Yeah.
Actually, I have a listing that FBA is kind of messing me up because I have FBM and FBA turned on, and some of the SKUs, it seems like FBA still, has. I have to really raise the price there higher, I think, because it's a toy product and it's showing delivery like end of May. And I logged into my Prime account, and FBM is not, and I think I'm losing conversions actually on the FBA versus the FBM faster delivery. The problem is it's a small toy product, and so it's $12.99, and I need to charge like $5 shipping. Mm-hmm. So it's like both things are bad for conversions: charging $5 shipping, raising the price, or FBA with end of May delivery.
Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting dilemma, because do you keep and lose and keep your rank and keep the sales momentum going during this time period?
Yeah, I just kind of lowered my target ACoS goals because my conversions haven't been as bad. So I'm still advertising and selling, but I'm pulling back bids a little bit, and I just raised the price $1 because of the conversions, because of the profitability is not as good right now because of the conversion. So I think raising $1 won't hurt it too bad. And maybe it could be a little bit more profitable. So you really got to fine tune things right now.
Indeed. Hopefully, Henrietta, we've covered that there. If not, drop me a message or Leran a message and we'll articulate it better off call. Guys, lovely to see you. I'll see you back here. Leran, I'll see you on Sunday Mindset Sunday. Norm, I'll see you next week. We'll do part 2 of failures, yeah, if that's all right.
Yeah, fantastic. Sure.
Sounds good. Guys, have a wonderful day. Stay home, stay safe. Lots of love. Take care. And I'll see you again 4 p.m. tomorrow.
Thank you.
Later.